The world is ending. The world is going to end. I don't think there's anything we can do to stop this. When I had the great vision, I saw absolute destruction of human civilization, almost no survivors in the entire world, smoldering piles, heaps of black ash and just fire and molten, just everything burned. It's all true, and um, it's coming. And the problem is that we are the ones who are doing it. God said that he would not destroy us in at the time of Noah. After the flood of Noah, he promised never to destroy us again, to send a flood to wipe out evil humanity. But this time we are facing a new flood and we are about to drown. And this is a flood of separation and a flood of all the things that cause human beings to separate ourselves from one another. And this is extremely relevant to everything that's happening right now in our society, in our politics, in our human society. As I've spoken about before, humans are social creatures in the same way that fish are sea creatures. That is to say, we don't exist without socializing. We can You think of Henry David Thoreau in Walden. He said, no matter how far into the forest you go, some strange band of odd fellows will be there to try to get you to join their group. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, that's true. A lot of people know that's true. And try it for yourself, see if that's not true. If you go out to be alone on a mountain somewhere, you're still going to be, you might get away from it in some place, but really, we're never alone. We are always surrounded by spirits. There's spirits within us. There are actually dangerous parasitic spirits inside of us that are controlling us, that are keeping us inside of this matrix, which is this world. I don't care who you are, what your religion is, this applies to everybody. And part of becoming enlightened, spiritually enlightened, means that you are spiritually purging yourself of these spiritual parasites, which often is, it's a serpent. It's a serpent. I mean, I've been studying, I'm studying the Judeo-Christian canon uh, a lot today. I've been studying it for many years, and I'm a complete novice. But there's a few things that I've come to understand through my ignorance. I've come to recognize my ignorance, and then from there I can actually learn a thing or two about what's really going on. And if somebody my age, I was raised in not a Christian household. I was raised in a Jewish household, which many of you think makes me like some kind of a New World Order Illuminati Satanist or something, but we're pretty much just regular people, just regular Americans. We're not represented by any one person. We're a diverse group of people, and we in general don't think of ourselves as better than anybody else. In fact, that's completely goes against the way I was raised and goes against Jewish spirituality and Jewish tenets. The thing is, all these ways of separating ourselves, these are tactics. This is the enemy's tactics, and we have to understand that we are being fed upon, we are being farmed by an enemy who is consuming us. They are consuming our energy. Um, they, the Kundalini spirit, the serpent spirit, is something that I never had heard about when I'd read about it maybe once or twice, but didn't know what it was. I saw the word Kundalini, didn't know what it was. I certainly knew something about the story of Adam and Eve in the garden with the serpents who told a lie. This is the Back to Truth channel that you're listening to. This is the Back to Truth podcast. Are you turning your back towards truth? Are we turning our backs towards truth? Or are we turning back towards truth? And this is sort of the conundrum that is apocalypsis, that is apocalypse, which means literally revealing, revelation. The book of Revelations, the final book of the New Testament. And if you respect the New Testament, which you should at least study it before you decide if you are going to criticize it or not, because far too many people criticize it without studying it, which is a whole other topic, and I understand they have their reasons for doing that. However, I'm very thankful that I was raised in a religious, somewhat religious Jewish household, that I had religion in my life, and that later I could grow and learn about all the world's religions, and that includes the biblical traditions. I know I'm sort of jumping around a bit here, but the main thing is that it seems like I'm jumping around if you haven't studied the story of the Bible. People think it's a long list of commandments about how to be a good person, and that's completely false. It's mostly about our failures, the Jewish people, the chosen people's failures as the chosen people of God, and the plan of God. And what is the plan of God, of our creator, you know? You don't even have to use the word God. Seriously, religious people shouldn't be so attached to the word God because most of them don't even know where that word comes from. It probably most likely it comes from Gautama, which was the name of Siddhartha Buddha, the big Buddha who lived uh, in 600 BC or something. Um, he was that's the Aryan invasion into India. Their language is mixed. It became Got, which in English becomes softened into God over time, according to my own amateur etymological investigations. But that's the point: is that you need to have laser beam focus, and you have to break through the illusion. People are getting into spirituality as like a thing they want to try. They want to dip their toes, and they want to like, should I try mushrooms, or should I do a ceremony, or should I meditate, or what's the right way to meditate? And the real problem is the fear and the anxiety and the fact that you don't know what you need to do, and that you're looking outside for other people to tell you what you need to do. I'm going to send you back in. You need to go inside. You need to find that answer, and don't worry if it feels like it's going to take too long. Like your life is going to go by, because this life in this flesh is one level of the game. I've explained this before too in the previous podcast, episode 2, the multidimensional game, the different levels of the game. The human level is level 2. Level 1 is the natural world without humans. Level 2 is the human world. Level 3, it keeps going on. There's about 6 or 7 of these. After you get enlightened, there's more stages as well. After you see God, you get enlightened. After you get enlightened, you make the choice to be a private enlightened person, a private Buddha, a Pratyeka Buddha, a stone Buddha. You have it for yourself, and you want to just experience, perfection and bliss, and you don't have to live the story that we're living out here in this realm where we live out the story. Here it's slowed down, and the light is God, and this is the projection. It's right here. It's the same place, but it's a projection of light all around from within, from this space. There's really no words to say it, and that's not really the important part. The thing is that it's a projection of light, and on this level of time, we are in an aquarium. We are in a farm. Each one of us lives and exists inside of a separate bubble, and we are being eaten. Our energy that we produce, the food that we eat, the stress that we feel, the pleasure that we feel, the sensory experiences that we have is their food. And they keep us in a waking state of mind that is almost the same as sleeping. Our brainwaves are almost exactly the same. There's very little difference. However, we know that the human brain is capable of much further potential. It has much greater potential than this. And part of why meditation is a part of a balanced life, of a balanced part of your day, even, like eat your Cheerios and meditate, and get enlightened. These are not silly little games. Like, it is a game in a sense because the whole thing is already set up, the story's already been written, and we're just here experiencing it. But it's not like it's a conspiracy in the sense that we are being put upon, and that we are put into this reality, and there's some big god over us who's like a monarch, which is often represented as, and I think that needs to start changing now in these times. It's not a monarch, it's everything, it's everybody. The people that hate God, the people that hate religion, the people that hate Christianity, guess what? You're God too. So deal with that, because if you understand what God is, and why is it that you don't understand what God is? Why is it that you're constantly closing yourself off to God? What is that you are pursuing God even about? Remember, there's stories about this. I'm telling you, people who haven't studied the Bible, all of these things are in this book. This is actually not the Bible, this is the Bible commentary. I've carried this across continents with me to help me understand the Bible when I study the Bible. The Old Testament, the New Testament, the Gnostic scriptures, the hidden scriptures, the banned, all of it. Study it all. Why are you going to close yourself off? And seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Now I'm talking to everybody. This is the most devout churchgoers and synagogue goers and mosque, everybody, Buddhists, everybody. Um, you need to get the fruit first before you can, really synthesize the juice in your own life of the spirit, the nectar of this life, of this existence. You're waiting until your death, and that's okay because as we're told again in the New Testament, we're told that that's okay. That blessed you believe in me, Jesus said, because you've seen me, but blessed are those who believe in me and they haven't even seen me. That's really so that's fine. I'm just here to say that actually there's no reason to not see it now, to not be one with God now, because that's simply the case. That's simply the fact of the matter. And I guess, what I saw was that the ones that died, which was almost everybody in what's happening now, and you can see clearly that the stage is in fact set. The ones that died chose death. They chose to save themselves and forget about the rest. They chose to be greedy. They chose to accuse, which is what the word Satan means, to accuse fellow human beings of being um, racist, of being um, fascists, of being inhuman, basically inhumanizing, dehumanizing them, making them not human, separating themselves. And this goes in all directions. I'm not saying, it's a left or a right thing. That in itself is the division. I'll say in I'm going to have a podcast coming up soon where I'm going to interview. Hopefully, he'll come on. I've been trying to convince him. A good friend of mine who is uh, he studied history in college and he got his degree in history. He's been extremely influential in me being able to start understanding the scriptures, the holy scriptures of the Judeo-Christian canon, which is the canon that I was born into. And I'm not a Christian. I do understand now that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, and I do believe that Jesus Christ existed and lived on this earth and did the things to a degree that are described in the Bible. I don't think that there are lies necessarily in the scriptures. I guess it depends on the version and all that a little bit has a lot to do with it. But overall, once you studied a lot of different versions, you start to get a general idea of the meaning of the story, which is we had perfection. At the beginning, we had perfection. Think about indigenous people who have yet to be contacted by modern society, however you want to phrase that. They have perfection. They're not desperate. They're not really needing anything from us. Maybe now they're needing some things from us, some communication, some help with food, because their normal food sources have been disappearing, mostly due to greed. Um, and I'm not getting on the whole green ecology bent either, because that's another issue that divides people that needs to be clarified at a later point. Um, when I get Sorry, I'm jumping around so much, but when I get that friend on, um, we're going to go deeper into the current events. And I'll say that for now. The current events of what's happening in our world, around this world. We have war, we have rumors of war, we have the situation where it seems like the other foot is about to drop. We have people getting assassinated. We have people who are attempting to assassinate world leaders, we have a level of tension and a level of lies in our society that is all pervasive. It has become all pervasive. It's out in the open. We see it with the division over the Olympics. One group is mad and the other group is mad, and it's not so much about which group is right and which group is wrong. Both groups are right and have a right to exist, and both groups need to stay in their own space that they are given in this life, that they have naturally in this life, and not impose on the other one. And then we go into, well, the history makes it so that now it's fair for the formerly oppressed to now become the oppressors. And we've been seeing a lot of this lately. And this is because the world is upside down. The world is being turned upside down. And on that night, when I sat and vowed to meditate until I became enlightened, until I found out if God was real or not, or until I died, I wasn't going to move from that spot. I vowed the way Buddha vowed to become enlightened. And they were going to bury me there. I was not going to move. Luckily, it just took a night and I was done with that part of the journey. Excuse me. Everything is upside down. We had this recent pandemic, which was absolutely planned in advance. I read documents years ago talking about in the year 2021, there was going to be a lockdown. Um, 2020, I don't remember exactly right now, but I can find those documents. There's documentaries available right now online for free that document this, that were made over a decade ago, well before the pandemic, that talked about the incoming pandemic and the plan to crystallize world authority of the so-called ruling class. The ruling class, the ruling industrial oligarchy, they're going to use medicine. They're going to be a scientific medicinal oligarchy because people are going to be afraid of the sickness. People are going to look towards the genuine smarts and trustworthiness and ability and competency of the medical profession and say, yes, these are the leaders that we need. And with all the propaganda that's been going on about how humans are bad, humans are causing a ecological crisis and constantly hammered into us, all humans are bad. All humans are being oppressed. We are all being oppressed. We are not bad. It's not that humans are oppressing other humans and those are the bad humans. All humans are being oppressed. When one human is oppressed, all humans are oppressed. If one of us is not free, then none of us are free. So I'm not free. That's why I'm here. That's why I come back into this flesh. I didn't have to. None of us have to. We can go. It's not that difficult. You just have to make the decision to do it. And then any other steps that you need to do, like meditate to amass enough concentration to break through your kundalini, to break through the illusion, to get control of your chakras, of your sensory self, and to then see who you are beyond this body, see who you are beyond your flesh body, see your other bodies, and then see that really all bodies are one. And we can do this. But God showed me that night in this vision that the world is upside down. The world is being turned upside down. God is not going to send a flood. It was raining hard. It was supposed to snow, but it was raining hard. It was raining, and there was this pressure in my head. And when I focused on it in a certain special way, I noticed that it was in tune with the rain. When it rained harder, this pressure in the center of my head grew to match the rate of the rain, and vice versa, the other way. And then I started to play with it, where suddenly I realized that I was controlling the rain. And this is not the first time things like this have happened to me, but been learning over the years. And when this happened to me in 2014, 10 years ago, I I I broke through after this vision that God showed me. And I asked God what was happening, and God spoke to me in a clear voice and showed me in a vision a voice that shook reality, and that same night I purged the Kundalini spirit out of me. I got it out of me. It was a ferocious beast latched onto my nervous system, and I scared it out of me, chased it out, and out through the central channel, up through the top of the skull, the Sushumna, the central channel. You have the nadis, the energy channels on either side of you. You gotta study all this stuff. I'll get into it deeper in other podcasts, but right now that's not the point. And I saw this destruction that I mentioned at the beginning, and I saw the causes of it, and I saw the people that died. Almost all of them had chosen death because they had chosen to separate themselves from one another. And it sounds like I'm going to simplify it because I'm not remembering this part right now. I need to get back on this, but there was a there was a thing where people didn't the medical industry is upside down. They make us sick. The lawyers, the legal system is behaving in an unjust way and is prosecuting just people. You better believe they are. If they haven't come for you yet, hopefully you're not next, but you probably are. Everything is upside down. All these institutions. The education system is not educating, it is indoctrinating. It is the opposite of education. Education is to teach a person to use their mind because one is educated by life itself. Life is the teacher. Life is the teacher. Jesus is the life, the way. I don't care if you're a Christian, I'm not a Christian, but that's what that means. God, the Great Spirit, love incarnated, whatever you want to call it. You could call it Jesus if you want. You don't have to. But you shouldn't be opposed to that name either because it means the same thing. Literally, that's not what it means, but that's the significance of it in real terms is love incarnate. That's why the commandments are to love God, which is everything, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So what does that leave us? Who are we not supposed to love? That includes everything. That includes everybody. So the world is upside down, and God is not going to send another flood. And while this was happening, the rain was pounding on the plastic roof of the greenhouse that I was in. I went outside in the rain. This rain seemed like it was the flood of Noah. Earlier that day, I had opened the Bible. I had opened the, it was the Old Testament and the New Testament, and I opened directly to the book of Noah. Just randomly opened it, random spot, flood of Noah. It was supposed to snow. It didn't snow. It was raining, as I mentioned, pounding on the plastic roof. And I'll go outside and I turn around and you've seen a greenhouse before, this was a large one. It's up like this, a good whatever height it was, 16 feet maybe a bit more, and then curved like that, arched into a you know slanted roof. Watch out for those slanted roofs. A slanted roof with sort of a point running about a good 60 yards. I think it was about 60 yards, and I saw that this was like a boat. This was an ark that was upside down. The Ark of Noah was built to float and move around on top of these waters, but the new flood is a flood of separation and greed, and all the causes of separation and greed and fear, which are themselves causes. The, the ark of the new flood is the greenhouse, because the world is upside down. The greenhouse is an upside down ark. The greenhouse doesn't move, the greenhouse is stationary. People need to stay around that greenhouse and stay inside that greenhouse and stay together working that greenhouse and living from its fruits and its veggies and its produce and the animals living in community where there is no separation. That doesn't mean everybody that you don't have privacy and you don't have property and you don't have um, individual thought and individual opinions and all these things. You absolutely are. Nobody can take that away from you ever unless you give it up yourself. But that we aren't separated by these things. We aren't separated by the differences in the flesh. We have perhaps from this great destruction, this great revelation, this great apocalypse, this terrible destruction that is coming, be it from nuclear fallout or riots over hunger and social unrest or imposed poverty, collapse of the system, martial law. All these things are on the table, very, very close at hand. And, I'm going to go off on another tangent because a bit of a tangent, but related because, I look at people when I talk to people and I see that people don't believe this and nobody wants to believe this. People are very happy to say that I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong, but I don't think I am. Sometimes I question it. A lot of the time I question it. I know it sounds crazy. It sounded crazy when Noah said it. A lot of us think that that story is probably not even true. It's probably made up. It's probably a copy of older versions of the same story, just copied through humanity, just kind of to scare people into believing in the other things that the Bible says, maybe, with the overall point being that God is bigger than you and you better obey. And sure, there's people who use it that way for sure. But I was by myself. I wasn't by myself. I was with my wife. I was with a couple of good people, but I wasn't part of a group. We were not My wife doesn't share the same political or spiritual views as me. And that's what I mean. Like people are not willing to really, even people who say that they're spiritual, people who do spiritual things or practices that were originally associated with spirituality, like meditation is a perfect example, and things like meditation. You know what I mean? Psychedelics is one that gets used a lot. Um, these people, they're not ready, and it puts an awakener in a strange position where you are you are supposed to you want to save them. You want them to save themselves. You want to alert them of the problem so that they can take the right route, so that they can make the right decision for themselves, for their family, and then we'll all be happier. Um, but you look at them, you look in their eyes, and you've tried many times before, and it always creates a sort of argument where they think you're trying to put your ideas on them, over them, or make them convert, or you're proselytizing, or it just doesn't gel. There's a million other things that too besides what I just listed, but it just doesn't gel. They don't take it the right way. You feel bad because you had good intentions. You start to maybe defend yourself. I'm talking about myself, obviously, if you haven't noticed, but I know I'm not the only one. I know that you out there, you've had a version of my experience in this, perhaps, and um, and so that we're in a strange position where if we don't speak about what's happening, we're allowing harm to occur. But if we do speak about it, we are to save them. The paradox is that we are causing harm to ourselves and to others. And I'm not trying to get out of awakening people and trying to save people. I do absolutely. I just spent a half hour or whatever telling you people about that the end is near and we're all gonna die, and some of us are gonna survive. The ones that choose the path that I set out, not me, the one that I labeled, that I named, the one that has been set out, the one that many other people have come to understand besides me. Um, that that we need community, we need to come together, and we need to be self-sustainable. We need to get connected to the earth. We need to get probably far away from the major cities. There's a lot of land out there where there's just nothing, and you gotta get out there. What are you waiting for? What are you doing? Like I've spent the past 6, 7, 8 years like pretty much off grid. Uh, Now I'm back in the city. It's been a year, and I gotta tell you, man, like I should be supposedly I should be better. I should be better developed in this way. I'm not spiritual enough to the point where I'm happy and content in the city. I feel like I'm in prison. I feel like I'm stuck. I feel dirty all the time. I don't feel like I have any privacy, no tranquility. I can't go outside. Everything's expensive. It's extremely stressful. Can't get rest. There's no fresh air. Everything's dirty and stinky. There's too many people. These people are causing problems all over the place. And these people are living in a way, a lot of them, where they're completely disconnected from the natural world. They're completely disconnected from reality. And not all spiritual people, not all hippies, and not all people that go to live on a homestead or live off grid are connected completely to reality either. You have to have all the levels of the game to be connected to reality, and it's difficult. Like I can't even believe what's happening in my own daily life every single day. I can't even believe who I am and what I'm doing in this life. It makes no sense according to the plan that any sort of plan that I ever formed or was formed about me since my birth. But I can also see that were I to go a different route, were I to do those things, it would make just as little sense, maybe even probably less sense. I'm convinced there would be less sense. Um, so so that's pretty much it. Just to sum up, the end is coming. It's going to come. It's most likely going to be in our lifetimes. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I got to tell you that this is what I was shown after years of training with wise elders of different traditions, um, studying, putting into practice spirituality, spiritual techniques, and then receiving and then setting out, vowing to become enlightened. First, two things happened on that night. I became enlightened. Before I became enlightened, I had this vision. God gave me this vision before I became fully enlightened, beyond the vision. And with within time, within this planet and this human world, we are being fed upon by spiritual parasites that are serpents, that are like demons, like goddesses, but not good goddesses. They're like demons. They're inside of every one of us. They feed off of our nervous system, which reacts from everything we do and eat and our emotions and everything we feel and all of our sensory experiences. We need to get them out. The way to do that is to stop being an individual. What do I mean by that? I mean that you give up your own individual survival, your own individual interests, even your own individual need to be noticed and accepted. The need to eat, the most fundamental needs that you have, the need to sleep, the need to do anything, to have your wants fulfilled. This was part of the preparation that I did leading up to the night that I got enlightened on December 25th of 2014. Um, and this is all going to be in the upcoming book, but I realized that it's been 10 years and I haven't been trying to get this message. I have been trying to get this message out there, but I should have been doing podcasts and videos about it all the way back then. And I've been too slow and too cowardly and too weak. And I haven't been focused enough. All these excuses. I need to do it. It's overdue. Hopefully, there's people that will listen to me and take this seriously. We need to come together. We need to get connected. The end is coming, the destruction, the separation of people. Watch out for all these wars. Watch out for all these ways that they're trying to separate us. Hold your ground. Stick to your beliefs, but leave room for your for other people to do the same, to hold on to their beliefs and to stand their ground. You stand your ground, they stand their ground, and everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna work out the way it needs to. Um, I'm having a funky hair day for this video, but clearly there's more important, issues at hand. So study, learn, get prepared, start farming, start gardening. You're thinking about becoming spiritual, you're thinking about growing in your spirituality, you're thinking about enlightenment or not, thinking about starting a community, you're thinking about getting off grid. Do it. What are you waiting for? Do it. Stop making excuses right now, today. Do it. Get out there. I'm going back as soon as I can. I need to be here for now. I'm getting back. I'm not going to be here for long. I'm getting back out there and everybody's welcome. As many people as we can fit on there. We're far away from heavily populated cities. We are um, agriculturally based community. And this is what we got to do. And this is what has been well known. This is what other people have been talking about for a long, other people have been talking about for a long time. The world is upside down. All the institutions are upside down. Evil is coming to dominate and will win. Evil is going to win. At first, they're going to take the lead. They're going to kill a lot of people, and because the people of this earth are going to give in to evil. It's just, it's going to seem easier. It's just going to be for laziness. I don't have the energy. I'm too tired. I just care about myself. All these sorts of things are going to lead directly to being destroyed, to choosing death, to choosing, and we have to survive. This isn't about like, oh, I'm scared of death. Death isn't bad. Death isn't scary. Death is fantastic. You get to see other worlds, other realms. You get to see God. You get to work out all your crap that you didn't work out during life. And then you get to choose your incarnation, your reincarnation. Yeah, it's a choice. It's not like you're put upon because you are the thing. You are the whole thing. You are the whole game. You are all levels and everything in between and around and above and below and da 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 da. So this has been a really, unprepared episode of the Back to Truth Foundation podcast and a sort of bizarre episode, but a very necessary episode. And I want you to know when you are listening to our podcasts and seeing our videos and our content, reading our content, or any spiritual or related topic from anybody out there, um, I want you to know that it's real. It's not a game. It's life or death. It's important for us to survive. That there are humans that survive what's going to happen is going to be the the saving grace. That's important. If we do that, we win. Doesn't matter if there's just a small handful of people, which is going to be relatively a small handful of people if things go the way I saw in that vision. That's going to be enough to say that we won. Those people are going to live in peace. They're going to live in community. They're going to live happy with their existence, and they're going to love their existence and their planet. And all the destruction is going to turn into fodder for the soil for the new cycles, upon which there will be beautiful growth. We are not overpopulated. The problem is not overpopulation. The problem is not humans creating climate change. The problem is separation. That is what hurts God. God wants us to have this experience. God created us in this whole world, this whole universe, for us to have this experience of community, of love. When you're God, you're the only creature, you're the only being, rather, for all eternity. That's lame. That's really lame. That's boring. What are you going to share your accomplishments and your dreams with and your failures? And who's going to hold you? And who are you going to hold? And this is what it's all about, the human game. I keep hammering this, the human game, humanity. We need more humans, and we need to love the humans that are alive now. And I'll say this in conclusion, that I am a human, and I am fallible, and I do not know if I am right. I do not know how right I am and how accurate my words are. I'm doing the best I can. And I have to add this as a caveat. We don't know I don't believe I'm right, but I do believe it was God, and I do believe that God is right in what God showed me. And we don't know exactly. This part was not shown to me. I didn't see everything. I didn't see every single thing, but I did see the evil that would separate us and how to banish it. And it could be over at any moment. It could be over right now, as soon as I finish this podcast. Maybe this is the worst it's going to get. Maybe we've reached that point and the prophecies have been fulfilled, because I'm telling you, the thing about prophecies is that when you understand them, you see that they get fulfilled. If you don't understand them, you don't see that they were fulfilled. Okay. What about that? There was a video of a guy from 3 months before the recent shooting that predicted exactly what would happen, exactly where the bullet would go, and what the immediate aftermath would be. And this is just, it's unexplainable, and that is a sure sign that it's the Holy Spirit, as the Christians call it. Now, I know there's a lot of non-Christian people out there. Like I say, I'm not Christian. I was raised Jewish, but I'm not Jewish today. I guess I am Jewish, once a Jew, always a Jew, but I'm not trying to hide from it. It's not a bad thing. I'm proud of Judaism, and I want to help Judaism grow in this time and stand its ground and be strong as a Jewish man. But I'm also not going to be taken in by a group, any group, and it's really not about which religion you are or what religion you're not, or it's not about any of that. It's about coming together. It's about loving each other. That's the religion. It's about doing what's right, living in a way that is connected to this world. You need to eat food. And where are you getting your food from? What is in that food, and who's giving you that food, and what are they doing with the profits they make? Are they doing us good? Are they doing any good on this planet? No. You know the answer. No. We, at best, they're getting rich for themselves, and that's, it's bad, but okay. That's at best. But you know it's worse than that. They are poisoning us. We are surrounded by chemicals that we do not want. It's not about cutting prices for these big businesses. It's about euthanizing us. It's about pulling our population. It's about bringing us down. It's about demasculizing us. And, I might have just screwed up my entire YouTube channel. I was starting to grow a little bit, talking about nice spiritual things that are trendy. And now I went and dropped this heavy info bomb on you. And now I'm probably going to get, criticized, shadow banned, all the rest of it. But I'm going to keep speaking and getting the message out there any way I can. Okay? As usual, I know I left out a lot. I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope you got the important message out of this. I'm going to calm down now. I'm going to go get my daughter from soccer practice and have a nice evening and start, cutting this up and posting it in the afternoon. Um, please reach out, stay in touch, tell people that they matter, that they're important, help people, support people, respect people.